So, like, what do you think about karmic laws, for example?
So, like what we are saying with everyone being connected as one life force, like the egg theory. I feel like the best way, like for karma to work, and the fairest way is if you everyone and you're and at some point in your life experience everyone's life. Every bad thing you do to someone, you then experience that bad thing. So it's almost like an intrinsic karma in of itself because the only bad things you're doing is to yourself, and you then feel that pain when you experience that life after this life because you know you're the one God that's connected, experiencing
Mm.
everything objectively.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's how it probably works. But it gets confusing when you think about by incarnating or like by being born in this world, you have to create karma in one way or another. So I don't think it's possible to go through life without creating any sort of karma. So then the question is like, if you're forced to create karma, both good or bad, then is it really a free choice? Is it really free will? Because the karma, so I've heard in many different like spiritual texts, they say that it's karma that keeps you reincarnating. So because you have a karmic debt, you have to reincarnate to then like pay off that debt or experience the rewards of good karma or something like that. But then if you have to create karma when you're born, then you'll be kind of like forced to reincarnate to then pay off that debt. So then where does free will play into that?
100%. I mean, I feel like that's also linked to the story of Adam and Eve in Christianity as well. You know,
Mm.
the choice to take the apple, to choose knowledge between good and evil. You know, suffering. I feel like was a choice. When I know I'm talking metaphysically here, but say we were, you know, godlike before we came to this life, we were omnipotent and had full power. I feel like we chose to then come down here, choosing to know the difference between good and evil, choosing to have suffering in our lives to enable us to progress throughout. I feel like because I feel like karma, like you're saying, is a choice. It is suffering, but you choose to do it so that you can know the other side almost.
Mm. Yeah, that's an interesting idea actually. Yeah, because by having the choice of good and evil, then it's more valuable when you choose the good, and then when you choose the bad, you in theory would get karmically kind of punished for that. So you learn the lesson to not choose that in the next like lifetime or next time.
Definitely, without the binary opposition of good and bad, there wouldn't be a good and bad anyway. Like that's the
Yeah.
it's like the dualism within the world, isn't it? Like we need there to be the suffering in order to reap the rewards of happiness.
So yeah, exactly. An interesting rabbit hole I've been down is looking into. I don't know how much I can say that will be allowed on YouTube. I'll try and keep it basic. But if you assume that there's a kind of structure in the world of elite people or like groups of people, institutions, and collaborations that make certain things happen, like certain agendas and everything like that, the rabbit hole is that what if those are necessary to create a perfectly balanced world with just as much good as bad? And so that when, let's say, the scales tip too far in one direction and the world starts turning really good on average, then these elite kind of groups would make certain things happen to bring it back into balance so that there's always a perfectly balanced choice between good or evil. Do you know what I mean? Whereas compared to like if the world was just chaotic all the time or if the world was just bliss all the time, then it's not really a free will choice between good or bad because it's already in that state.
100%. I agree with you. I mean, I'd even go as far as saying that maybe it's not even the elites on our world, it's potentially even elites like alien worlds coming in and
Yeah.
like trying to control us because they've been there, they've done that, they know how to get us that level of consciousness. And if that class suffering is necessary in our society, then maybe that is the way it needs to go. Because as bad as things is in our society, like you can almost escape the matrix of the society and choose to do
Mm.
good. Like even though it is hard.
Yeah, no, 100%. There's also an even further rabbit hole where, let's say, if you assume there's groups or people that make things balanced on Earth, whether that's doing good or bad things, but then they're actually kind of controlled or like the strings are being pulled by extraterrestrial or higher intelligent beings. The rabbit hole that I went down shows that those extraterrestrials or those advanced beings could actually be us in the future, who are then reaching back through the timeline to then help guide the earlier version of themselves to. But I mean, it gets really trippy like when you start talking about timelines. I wish I knew everything about timelines, like everything.
100%. I mean that stuff, especially because it's so like unfalsifiable and philosophical, and so many different ways of that time travel can go. Because you know, obviously, we can't experience it properly. It's hard to know what how it works in a way. But I definitely agree that there is some sort of, especially when you look at past human evolution, I feel like it makes sense that aliens, if aliens come down and see us, they're going to want to accelerate evolution because
Hmm.
they know that this is them, a billion years in the past. Like that, I feel like that would make sense to advanced civilization, and then to keep an eye on us, make sure we're going in the right direction. And if that does then turn out that that is them from the past and it's a circular time loop, then maybe. But honestly, I don't know much and science of time continuum to state whether it is true or not.
Yeah, for sure.